Hi, welcome back, and today we are tier listing all of season 15 of classic Doctor Who from 1977 to 1978. Now, just as a bit of housekeeping, I am going to try and not talk quite so much because the last video, I think I went on for an hour before I finished. I haven't edited it down yet. I don't know what it's going to be at the end, but I was trying to not say too much then. Now I'm looking at my notes and some of them are so long that I can barely read the writing because it's so small to fit on the page. And for the first serial we're going to talk about, it goes over 2 pages, 2 full pages. So I'm going to try and not talk quite so much about the episodes. If you want to know my detailed thoughts about episodes or serials, let me know. I might do a video on just one episode and talk about that. I'm kind of considering that for the first serial we're going to discuss because I love it way more than I thought I would. But yeah, so if I'm not giving you as much information as usual, that's why. It's because I'm trying to be a bit more concise in what I'm saying. So without further ado, on to the first serial, which is Horror of Fang Rock. So Horror of Fang Rock is an amazing serial. I gave it a full 5 marks and I love it. I think it's brilliant. I didn't like it on first watch, and on second watch I don't know why I didn't like it because it's brilliant. It's a proper gothic horror mystery and it's great. Like, I can't really fault it, to be honest. The only issue I would say is that the rich people from the boat, I don't think it needed them. I just don't think it needed the additional characters. I think had it just been the lighthouse people, it would have worked just fine. I'm not saying that it's an issue having the extra characters, I'm just saying I think it would have worked without them. I think they were unnecessary additions. But to be fair, had we not have had them, we wouldn't have had my favourite 2 Leela moments in the history of ever, because both of those moments come from this serial. The first one is when she holds a knife to someone's throat and says that he should listen to the doctor or she'll cut his heart out, and the doctor just goes, "You heard what she said." And the second one is when there's a woman screaming when they find out someone's dead. She just randomly screams and Leela slaps the bitch. Shuts her up immediately. I love it. Again, the BBC period costume department, need to give them a shout out because the costumes in the serial are beautiful. Again. But the story, I thought it was a really interesting, fascinating story. The Rootons were fascinating villains. I don't quite know how a jellyfish can perform a post-mortem on a human body, but the Rootons find a way. I love the idea that the Rootons are just these jellyfish creatures and they're fighting a war against the Santarans that keeps going. It's weird, but I like it. They did give me Dalek vibes at certain points when they're connecting to people. I think it was to electrocute them, but they were jumping onto people's backs and sort of riding them for a bit. And it just reminded me of that 13th Doctor era episode with the Daleks when it was clambering onto people's backs and riding them and using them as puppets. The Rootons, I don't think, used the humans as puppets in this episode. I think they were pretending to be them. I don't know if it was a shape change or just an illusion, but I think it worked well. This serial also shows Leela as the most capable companion. Every companion gets split off from the Doctor. In most serials, if not all, every companion gets split off from the Doctor, and that's how the story gets going, or at least how you learn more about it. Leela, I think, is clearly the most capable one out of any Doctor Who companion ever. She has all of the necessary skills to make it on her own. And she shows that in this serial as well, when she goes out and basically hunts the Rooton down. She doesn't know what she's hunting, she just knows that there's something to hunt and she's going to find out what. Usually when they split off, the companion gets into trouble, but with Leela, she is the trouble. You don't want to cross Leela with a knife. I just think she's the most capable one of investigating all the oddities whilst being safe about it, because she's got all the intelligence that's required of that role, and she's very agile and fierce as well. Like, she won't back down unless she absolutely has to. She knows how to take care of herself, and I think that's really required in a Doctor Who companion. Oh, there's so many more Leela moments I want to discuss, but I'm trying not to talk too much so I can't. One thing I really like about the serial, again with the Rootons, is that you don't really know what they want. The whole way through you barely see them until the ending, really, and you don't know what they want until the Doctor has a little conversation with it on the stairs in the last part. You just don't know what it wants, and that adds to the mystery and to the horror of Fang Rock. I think it was a really good idea Because a lot of the times in the classic Who serials, you spend so much time on the story that you get all sides of it from the off. Even with the mystery aspects, you already know who the bad guy is, what they want, why they're doing it, and you just sort of build on that as you go along. With this one, you don't know who the bad guy is, you don't know it's a Rutan, you don't know what it is, what it looks like, what it wants, you don't know anything. You spend more time with the Doctor and Leela and the people than you do with the villains, and I think that really works well to add to the whole eerie atmosphere of the episode. Final thing I'll say about this one is it kind of reminds me of an opposite The Doctor Dances. Because in The Doctor Dances, you've got the big moment of just this once, everybody lives. Whereas in this one, it's just this once, everybody dies. Because not a single person survives this serial other than Doctor and Leela. And it just made me think of that everybody lives moment in The Doctor Dances, but the opposite. So that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. We're going to tier this now. So I'm going to put this straight into Uyu. Don't need to think about it. Don't need to question it. It's going into Uyu. It's a fantastic serial. If I wanted to show someone a fourth Doctor serial, it may well be this one. It's not the perfect serial for the fourth Doctor as such, but it's a banging serial and it has the best companion. And to be fair, the Doctor does get sassy in this episode as normal, and so does Leela. It's got a lot of elements that make up the fourth Doctor era of Classic Who. I think the one I would actually show people is one of the Romana episodes later on, but Horror of Fang Rock is definitely a contender for that. I love it. I love this serial. It's brilliant. And the MVP for the serial is Vincent. Next up, we have The Invisible Enemy. This serial got a 4 overall, and I do remember I liked this one both the first time I watched it and this time. I think the mystery was good, the story was interesting. When I started watching this again, I thought, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. I don't remember this, because the first part of it, the first episode, isn't at all what I remember. I remember the second episode onwards. But overall, I think it's a really good story. And it introduces us to K9 at last. So K9 joins the TARDIS from this point on, and that little robot dog has some sass, can't be denied. There's some great moments with the Leela and the Doctor in this serial, as always. There's a great moment in the TARDIS where she's parroting him, and it's a nice little jokey scene. And there's also a moment in the TARDIS when she's hovering on the ground. It's sort of an anxious state, and she's holding onto the Doctor's scarf as well. And she just says that wasn't a human. That voice wasn't a human. There's evil behind that door. Her instincts are on fire. And the Doctor, what I appreciate is that he believes her. He doesn't doubt her or say, no, you're just being silly, let's go and see. He believes her. He trusts Leela's instincts, and I appreciate that. But yeah, there are loads of amazing Doctor and Leela moments throughout her time on the TARDIS, but there was a couple in this episode which I thought were really good. When they're inside the Doctor's body later on, I think it's a really interesting way of showing the inside of a body and how the brain works and stuff, because they're inside his brain effectively and have to navigate into a certain point. And I just think it's a really good way of showing it with the synapses. There's like a message to the synapses zipping past, and his leg moves at one point on his actual body, and you can see how it all reacts. And there's these big there's these big beach balls covered in foam or something, which are used to attack people, and they're sort of like the cells that are defending the body. And I think whilst it looks ridiculous, these people being hit by beach balls, I think it's a really good way of showing kids how the body works, just like a little smidgen of that. So I think that was quite good. Although parts of that did remind me of the Simpsons episode where they all get shrunk down into a little capsule and placed into Mr. Burns. Can't deny that. One thing I thought was really weird though was that the clone version of the Doctor and Leela, who are clones completely separate from the originals, they were affected by what happened to the originals, and I don't think that makes sense. They're clones, they're completely separate. They were made in a petri dish. I don't understand how they are affected by what happens to the original Doctor and Leela. So that I thought was weird. The Nucleus was an interesting villain, and I think there is a quote that he says about the right of any creature to survive, which I think is really interesting as well. When we first see him and he's just a guy in a cloak waving a clawed hand about, it's really weird. But when you see the actual shrimpy creature later on, when he's expanded, it's even weirder, but it works somehow. The final thing about the serial is that at the end, Leela suggests just to blow them all up. The Doctor takes credit for that plan later on, by the way. Dickhead. But my thoughts on that are, when I said in a previous video that in Genesis of the Daleks, had Leela have been there, she would have just put the wires together and done the job. That reaffirms my belief that she would have just done it. She would have got shit done. But where am I placing this in my tier list? I think I'm going to put it in fantastic. because I think there was enough in there that I really enjoyed to make it worthy of being in that tier. It's not a perfect serial, but that's why I do the tier list as well as the ratings, because I'm very annoying that way. So I'm going to put it into fantastic. And the MVP for the serial is Professor Frederick Marius. Next up is Image of the Fendal. I gave this one a 3 overall, and I've got to be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of this serial or the Fendal. The only thing about the Fendal I like is that golden dress. I'm not gonna lie, the dress and the hair as well looks fantastic. The eyes, not so much, they're fucking weird and remind me of the Axons. I have absolutely no memory of watching this serial the first time round prior to rewatching it, and I still don't. There's an 8th Doctor audio drama about the Fendal, which is almost a sequel to this, which I really did enjoy. I thought that was a really good episode. But this, I don't remember. Even now, my memory is a little bit hazy on certain aspects of this serial, so make of that what you will. I don't really get what the Fendal wanted or what it was doing. I know what the Fendal is because of the 8th Doctor audio drama, which explains it. I don't understand what it wanted in this serial in general. Also, when the Fendal was fully formed as the woman in the golden dress and it had the Fendaline wormy things around it, why was she just standing there waving her arms about? I didn't understand that. And I don't understand how the Fendal is an old skull and a woman in a dress, and how the Fendaline are created. Because they were people, and now they're big wormy things. I don't understand a lot of the final details of the Fendal and how it works. Basically every other note I have on this serial is character moments between either the Doctor and Leela, or just Leela, or one about Martha Tyler. But I think I'm going to place this one into... I think I'm going to put it into Doctor Who. Because I would put it into Wibbly Wobbly. The only reason it'd be Wibbly Wobbly and that I don't know how I feel about it is because I don't really remember much of it. I've watched it twice. It's still just not sticking. It's weird that I've had a few serials now in Classic Who where I don't really remember it before I rewatch it, and even after I rewatch I still don't remember it. So that is kind of weird to me that it's always the same serials that this happens with. But either way, that one's in Doctor Who. And the MVP for the serial is Martha Tyler. Next up is The Sunmakers. This one scored a 4 overall, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was much better on a rewatch than it was the first time around, and I thought it was an interesting story. Once again, it reminded me of an audio drama, but this time it was a Missy audio drama called The Belly of the Beast. There's a group of tax rebels hiding out in this serial who are trying to go against the big corporation and all that sort of thing in the actual episode. And in The Belly of the Beast, it's kind of a similar thing where there's a group of rebels and the main people, and yeah, it just reminded me of that a little bit. Most of the notes I have on this one are about taxes, I'm not gonna lie to you. It opens about some guy having to pay a death tax because his dad died, and it just makes me think, yep, I can see that happening in the future. It's like an inheritance tax but worse, and this guy lost everything because his dad died, and he works 21 hours a day. He has 3 hours of sleep time, and the tax man ordered him to work more than the 21 hours per day in order to make up for the extra taxes he owes. And also they get taxed to work extra hours. So how is he ever supposed to pay off this debt? I know that it's not realistic, but it feels realistic and I hate it. Also, this serial explains why the Doctor left Gallifrey, because this guy who was at the beginning of the serial, who had his father pass away and he has to pay the tax on that, he was going to off himself, effectively. He was going to jump from a tall building, and Leela saw it and stopped him. But when he explains why he was going to do that, the Doctor says that all he needs to solve his problems is a wily accountant, which means that the Doctor is a tax avoider and he led Gallifrey because he was found out for tax avoidance. That's my headcanon and I'm sticking to it. The Doctor had bad accounting advice and left Gallifrey for that reason. Which makes way more sense when you think that Time Lords are just a load of corrupt bureaucrats and the Doctor didn't pay his taxes. Everything makes more sense when you realise that he's just a tax avoider. Also, in The Collector, the big bad villain, in his records, Time Lords are registered as oligarchs. Make of that what you will. K9 has a lot of good moments in this episode, especially the bit where the Doctor and Leela talk about going for a walk and K9 entreats them to go with them. It's adorable. But also, he makes this episode. I take back everything bad I may have said about him in my companion tier list because he makes the episode. K9's great. He's adorable. This episode also reminds me a little bit of Oxygen and the Macra Terror. In Oxygen, it's all a very corrupt capitalist society where you have to pay to use oxygen. And in the Macra Terror, it's this idyllic labour camp place, and it's very, very confusing. They're all sort of hypnotised into thinking that it's the ideal world and they're not allowed to question anything. And in this place, curiosity is a crime. I swear it's a fascist dream world. There's no trees anymore. It's a rarely seen luxury to see a tree. And all of this sort of makes me think of several different episodes. Yeah, it just reminded me of those. Okay, I do have things to say about this episode and I'm really sorry. I'll try and be quick. So first off, the Doctor goes against an evil corporation in this episode rather than the people trying to destroy the evil corporation. And I'm thinking, where was this in the Interstellar Song Contest? Why did he not go after the evil corporation then? He just completely ignored them. Okay, I have loads more notes, but the final thing I'm going to say is that I love when characters get pissy about how much their reward is. The Doctor is a wanted man in this episode and they're offering a reward for people who have information on where his whereabouts. And the Doctor gets pissy about it. He's like, that's peanuts. He once had a bounty on his head for an entire star system. And he's very, very pissy about the fact that they're only being offered this small amount now, which I think is funny. I just love when people get pissy about the rewards that are offered for them. But rating the serial is gonna go, the Sunmakers, I'm going to put it in upgrade in progress. I'm trying to be much quicker in my decision making, can you tell? It did score a 4, and I do think it was good. It was enjoyable serial, but it makes me angry about certain real life stuff. So I'm going to put it in upgrade in progress. And the MVP is Cordo. We also have 2 no VPs this serial, and they are Mandrill and Beat. Next up is Underworld. This one got a 3 overall and I think it was okay. The only thing I really remembered about this one from before was the green screen. I didn't remember anything else about it. When I rewatched it, I started remembering more. There's another moment in this serial which is similar to a Doctor and Sarah Jane moment when they do a spin. So the Doctor and Leela were told to stay behind by the crew on this spaceship when they went off to explore the caves, and they were like, okay, and they started walking away. As soon as the crew left, the Doctor and Leela in unison spun around and walked back to go and explore the caves, and I really liked that. I think showing the Doctor and a companion in such unity about that sort of thing I love instantly anyway, and I always love a quick spin. It's like the Nope moment with Sarah Jane in the Pyramids of Mars. For this one, it's just they both know they're going to go and explore those caves no matter what anyone else says, and I like that. Also, something I liked, which I just felt I should mention, is when they're in the tunnels in this cave system, there's echoes of their voices, and I think that was a really good addition by the sound department in the serial because it just adds to the atmosphere of the episode, and it adds to the set as well because a lot of it is green screen and it does make it feel more realistic and more tunnely. So I think that was quite good, the echoes being added in. But yeah, overall I thought it was okay. Not really much to say on it. There's a computer that thinks it's a god and the Doctor's like, you're not a god, and then they steal some canisters. So it's okay. I don't have any issues with it really. I just think it was okay. So I think I'm gonna put this one into wibbly wobbly. And the MVP for the serial is Idis. The final serial for the season is The Invasion of Time. This serial got a 4 and I did enjoy this one. I think I enjoyed it more on my rewatch than I did last time. Even though I still think it's weird that the first 4 episodes were a certain storyline and then the last 2 episodes were a different storyline. It was all still set on Gallifrey, still same setting and same characters, but it felt like it was 2 different stories again. Like with Seeds of Doom, it just felt like, or Seeds of Death, it just felt like 2 different stories. It's also weird that Leela's time on the TARDIS is bookended by 2 Gallifrey adventures. But it is nice to be back on Gallifrey with all of their weird-ass politics. I do appreciate that. It's a really weird mystery, this one, because the Doctor is acting so out of character for the majority of the serial until you find out why. And every single time I'm like, is he doing this to trick someone? Or has he been hypnotised? Like, I can never remember. And then obviously the reveal happens. Yeah, I think that was a good mystery and it was interesting as well, kept you going because the Doctor was acting so bizarre. I mean, the 4th Doctor's quite bizarre anyway, but he was acting out of character bizarre, so I think it was good. This serial shows as well just how much Leela has come to trust the Doctor. It was quite early on in her time that she showed severe trust in the Doctor and his knowledge. But in this serial, you see her when she's literally being thrown out of the Citadel by the Doctor. She's been thrown out, she's been banished into the wild wilderness. I will touch on that in a moment. She just knows that he's got a plan. There's a reason for why he doesn't want her there, or that he does want her there. Like, there's a plan and she knows it. She trusts it. And she, because she's amazing, because she's Leela, she works with the Shobogans and with Rodan and convinces them to help her sack the Citadel, effectively, because she's like, there is a reason he wants me out here and not in there. So I'm going to bring an army to him, because Leela's amazing. I do love the fact that the villains are just humans. The people who take over the Doctor and try and take over Gallifrey are just human, and I love that. I think that's really interesting, especially when you consider the original plan for the episode Dalek in series 1 of Doctor Who with the 9th Doctor. When they didn't know they could have the Daleks or not, they were going to have the Toclafane be the villain of that episode, and they were going to be the villains of the Time War and be the creatures that destroyed Gallifrey. And they were still going to be future humans in these little balls. So I think that was really interesting, watching that with the knowledge I have now of what would have been in series 1. Don't get me wrong, I prefer the Toclafane with the Master in series 3, as they should be, but I just think with that knowledge it was quite interesting watching this serial again to see that humans that were taking over Gallifrey before the Sontarans showed up. Speaking of Gallifrey, now why is it that every time we see it it's just a desert? Like, they have this big bubble citadel and everything's all fancy in there and everything outside is just desert. If none of the Time Lords exit that citadel, why hasn't nature taken over? Like, we've heard about Gallifrey. That whole thing should be a jungle of silver-leaved trees and long red grass. Why is that not happening? I want to see the silver trees and long red grass. Why is it like this? Why is it just desert? I don't understand. It's so desolate and empty, and I don't understand why it's like that at all. I have issues with the depiction of Gallifrey outside of the Citadel because it happens anywhere we go. We've never seen leafy, foragey Gallifrey. We've only ever seen the Citadel or the desert. That's it. I want to see the silver leaf trees. I want to see the red grass. I want to see the estates that the Master talked about, because they could have been in the Citadel. Surely they would have been somewhere else. Just show me more of Gallifrey. The last thing I'll say on this serial, because I do have a load of notes, but I will pick this one last thing, because it is Leela's final serial in Doctor Who, and that makes me very, very, very sad. What makes it sadder is how she left, because she left on a love story, and she had about 20 seconds of screen time with this man before she decided to leave the Doctor for him. Literally, it was about 20 seconds of screen time. I think she had 2 miniature conversations with him, one somewhere in part 1 and one as they were leaving Gallifrey, and she was with someone else at the time anyway. So alone time with this man, barely anything at all. But suddenly at the end of the serial she's marrying him or something. It's just ridiculous. That is not what Leela would do. I just don't like it. I hate Leela leaving this way. I think that she should have left in a grand battle or something. I mean, I'm glad she's still alive because it means I get more of her. The Gallifrey audio drama series from Big Finish. Will there ever be a day I don't plug Big Finish? The Gallifrey audio drama series features Leela as a main character alongside Romana. But yeah, I hate the way she left the TARDIS. It's ridiculous. So that is definitely knocked down some points on this one. But overall, I think I'm going to put this one into upgrade in progress. The Invasion of Time is a good story. I just think it goes on a bit too long for what it is. I think it should have been split into 2 serials. Also, time was not invaded, so I don't understand that title. And I hate the way Leela left. I hate it. But overall, it was okay. And MVP for the serial was Rodan. So that is the season tier listed. Let's look at the season stats. The most common score for the serials was a 4, and the season average score was a 3.65. A little less than last time, and looking at the tier list, it is quite varied, but it's still a good season. The quote of the season comes from the Sunmakers, and it's a conversation between the Doctor and Leela. And Leela says, "These taxes, they're like sacrifices to tribal gods." And the Doctor says, "Well, roughly speaking, but paying tax is more painful." And Leela says, "Then the people should rise up and slaughter their oppressors." I mean, does that need an explanation? But that is it. That is my tier list for season 15 completed. And as I've said, it is a very varied season. The thing with this season is that there are so many really good moments in each episode between characters, and the writing itself is just really good. It's just the stories vary in how much I enjoyed them. But yeah, overall, that's it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you next time for season 16.